mortals. Some endings don't arrive all at once. They don't begin with a single moment. They build, quietly, gradually, one decision at a time, one habit becoming routine, one night blending into the next, until eventually, there's no clear line between control and momentum. And by the time anyone notices, it's already too late. This is a tale of Hollywood and money gone way too far when paired with recklessness.
Chapter 1, Westchester. Before the fame, before the cameras, before Jackass, became something the entire world recognized. There was Westchester, Pennsylvania. A suburban town, quiet on the surface, but like many places, it had its own culture underneath. In the late 1990s, a group of friends began filming skate videos and stunts under the name CKY, Camp Kill Yourself. At the center of that group was Bam Margera. Alongside him were people who would later become familiar to millions: Ryan Dunn, Brandon Novak, others who moved in and out of that same circle. The videos were raw, unfiltered, often reckless.
1 pound rigatoni coming up!
They weren't designed for television. They weren't meant for a broad audience. They were meant for each other. Stunts, pranks, physical risk taken without much hesitation. And what started as something local began to spread through DVDs, through word of mouth, through a growing underground audience. That environment in Westchester wasn't unique, but it had a specific energy. Young, restless, looking for something to push against. And within that environment, certain behaviors became common. Partying, drinking, repetition of the same nights over and over again. For some, it was temporary. For others, it became something more consistent. Brandon Novak would later speak publicly about his struggles with addiction, describing how early exposure and environment played a role in shaping his habits. And while each person's experience was different, they were all part of the same ecosystem. An ecosystem where boundaries weren't always clear, and where pushing limits wasn't discouraged. It was expected. Chapter 2, Jackass and Escalation. When CKY footage reached a wider audience, it caught the attention of Johnny Knoxville. And from that moment, everything changed. Jackass was born. What had been local became global. The same group of friends, and now on a much larger stage. The same behavior, now amplified. The stunts became bigger. The risks became higher, and the audience grew. But the core idea stayed the same: push further. Because that's what people expected. And when something becomes expectation, it stops feeling optional. It becomes identity. Ryan Dunn fit into that identity naturally. He wasn't forcing it. He wasn't performing something artificial. He had already been living inside that mindset long before the cameras arrived. And that's what made him believable. What made him real. But it also meant that the line between on-screen behavior and off-screen life was never clearly defined. Chapter 3, The Lifestyle. With success came movement, constant movement. Filming schedules, tours, appearances, cities blurred together. Nights blurred together. The environment shifted from local gatherings to something much larger. After parties, industry events, crowds that expected the same energy they saw on screen. And maintaining that energy required something. It required staying in motion. Within the Jackass circle, this lifestyle affected people in different ways. Steve-O has spoken extensively about his struggles during that time, describing a period where control became difficult, where excess became constant. Eventually, he stepped away, got sober, rebuilt his life. Brandon Novak would also later document his experiences in detail, describing cycles of addiction, recovery, and relapse. Bam Margera's struggles would become increasingly visible in later years. These weren't isolated stories. They were reflections of the same environment. An environment where stopping wasn't easy, because stopping meant stepping outside of the identity. And when your identity is built on chaos, on movement, on pushing limits, slowing down feels unnatural. For Ryan Dunn, this lifestyle wasn't something new. It was something that had been present for years, and over time, it became familiar. Chapter 4. The Final Weeks. By 2011, the original peak of Jackass had passed, but the patterns hadn't disappeared. In the weeks leading up to June 2011, Ryan Dunn remained active socially. Photos from that time show him out with friends, at bars, at gatherings. There was no visible shift, no clear sign that anything was about to change. And that's what makes this part of the story so important, because nothing looked different. Everything looked the same routine, the same environment, the same nights repeating themselves. And when something repeats often enough, it stops feeling like a decision. It becomes automatic. That's how normalization works. It removes the sense of risk, because nothing has gone wrong before. And when nothing has gone wrong, you begin to believe that nothing will. Not consciously, but quietly, in the background. A kind of confidence builds, that the next night will be like the last one, that the pattern will continue. But patterns don't last forever. Chapter 5, The Final Night. In the early hours of June 20th, 2011, Ryan Dunn left a bar in Westchester, Pennsylvania. He was with a passenger. After leaving, he began driving at a high rate of speed. Reports later indicated that the vehicle was traveling significantly above the speed limit. The car veered off the road. The crash was severe. Both Dunn and his passenger did not survive. Investigations confirmed that alcohol had been a factor, but the event itself was only part of the story. Because for many people, this didn't feel like a single moment. It felt connected to everything that came before it. Chapter 6. Aftermath. The reaction was immediate. Fans were shocked. The Jackass community responded with grief. Johnny Knoxville and others shared statements about Dunn's character, his loyalty, his presence. But alongside that grief was something else, a realization. Because for years, the group had built its identity around surviving risk, and this time, they couldn't. Chapter 7. What it means. There's a tendency to search for a single cause. One mistake, one decision. But reality is more complex, because lives are shaped by patterns, by environments that normalize behavior, by repetition that removes hesitation, and by identities that make it difficult to step away. In a world where risk becomes routine, the line between control and consequence fades. Not suddenly, gradually, until it's no longer visible at all.
Some people don't stop, not because they can't, but because stopping means becoming someone else. And when your life is built on momentum, on movement, on pushing forward, slowing down feels impossible, but momentum doesn't last forever. And when it ends, it doesn't give you a warning.